So as all of you know, I've been born and raised on a farm. And on our farm we have a fairly large cattle operation. I'm sure I've bored most of you talking about my cows from time to time. But along with our cattle on our farm, we also farm around 500 acres of row crop and 140 acres of hay ground. Now on this ground that we can farm for crops and stuff, as far as I can remember, we've always used genetically modified crops, better known as GMOs. We use them to reduce the amount of chemicals that we have to apply to our crops. It also helps to make work more efficient, and it helps to increase our yield and our income. Now, I've never really given much thought to the issue of GMOs until last year. I was talking to my ag teacher, Ms. Harmeyer, just something simple about places I could go to eat for the weekend, and I mentioned Chipotle. And she was instantly startled by what I had to say, like, a farmer going to Chipotle, what's wrong with you? And I mean, I'd never been informed of how Chipotle was almost anti-farming, you could say. They have banned the use of genetically modified products in all of their food, and along with that, they're against most normal farming practices, such as feeding cattle out with the grain and other ways. But I was very taken back as to how someone or a group of people could be so against the most beneficial and efficient ways of farming and putting food on the table. I believe that we should not place restrictions and bans on GMOs, but we should rather embrace them. To start off, a lot of people think that GMOs are not needed, they're not necessary to provide for our growing population, when in fact that's not true. And in addition to this, they also think that GMOs can cause disease and a lot of other harmful things. In a 2015 Scientific American article by Stefan Blank titled "Why People Oppose GMOs, Even Though Science Says They Are Safe," it says that once discusses elicited the argument that GMOs cause cancer or sterility, or that they will contaminate the environment becomes very convincing and is often used. Discuss also affects moral judgments, leading people to condemn everyone who is involved with the development and commercialization of genetically modified products. Because people have no conscious access to the emotional source of their judgments, they consequently look for arguments to rationalize them. Now, it is very essential, in my opinion, to make it easier to provide for more food for our growing population that we use GMOs. And not only that, but it'll also be better and safer for our environment because of the less use of chemicals that could run off into rivers and other water sources, as well as we don't have to till up the ground as much so we don't lose that essential topsoil. In a Purdue interview with Dr. Peter Goldsboro, he says that when it comes to insects, there are genetically modified plants that can repel only the very particular type of insect that feeds on it. With some crops, this has significantly lowered the need to apply pesticides. Other genetically modified plants have been developed to be resistant to certain herbicides, thus making weed control more straightforward and less expensive. Now, GMOs are also proven safe for use, and they have no health effects at all. In a Farm Meats Table article titled "Are GMOs Safe?" it says we're talking the 1990s. That's when genetically modified crops first hit the market, and since then, not a single food safety or health issue associated with genetically modified crop use has been confirmed. So, accepting GMOs will help to better benefit our environment, will help us farmers be able to produce better yields to make it easier to provide for our growing population, and it'll also increase the income for our farmers. So let me ask, did you eat today? Do you plan on eating later or tomorrow? Do you want to be able to continue to have the privilege of being able to have food on your plate each and every day? We are already struggling to support our fast-growing population, so why make it more difficult to provide for it? Put yourself in the shoes of a farmer. And when you do that, I want you to realize the facts as a consumer. make the change today so we can have the chance and the opportunity to have a better tomorrow.
So you said that the GMOs aren't harmful to people, but so with flour, I'm allergic to the genetically modified flour, but when I go to other countries that don't have the GMOs, I'm not allergic to that flour. So how do you combat food allergies with GMOs?
I'm not sure what that has to do with your allergies, but the only difference between genetically modified organisms and non-genetically modified organisms, or straight organic as you could say, is they actually, what they do is they take the seeds and stuff that go in, they engineer them so they go into their DNA sequence and they change different characteristics and stuff with them so that they can withstand certain herbicides, they can be more resistant to different pests and insects and stuff. So there's not really any chemical changes you could say other than, I mean, yeah, the DNA gets changed a little bit, but I don't really know how that affects allergies.
And you talked about we've had genetically modified organisms for 20 years. Is there anything that has shown that, yes, it might not be causing cancer, it might not be causing major diseases, but that it is altering the way the body digests food or the way the body accepts food? Has there been any study that shows that, I mean, to chemically alter something, there has to be some mutation that's happening somewhere?
I have not found anything that says harmful, but I have found a few articles saying that they are actually rather beneficial to human health and other animals and stuff too. So,
my other question would be, scientists are chemically altering these foods, so wouldn't it be to their benefit to have studies that show that these chemically altered, genetically modified things are beneficial to humans versus the opposite?
I actually have an article. I didn't use a quote. I'm not going to even try to find it. But it said that these scientists, before they release a new product for farmers to use, they actually they spend several years testing different, how it affects the environment, how it affects the health of animals, and how it affects the health of, I guess, certain people too. And they'll spend years just collecting research and making sure there are no negative side effects before they actually release the product.
All right, thank you.